After days of threats, the White House has begun mass firings of federal workers as this government shutdown drags on. We thank you for being with us and streaming with us on WUSA 9+. I'm Leslie Foster.
And I'm Lorenzo Hall. We know this is yet another blow to our community. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers live here in the D.C. area. And shortly after noon today, the Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought posted on X, quote, "Rifts have begun." Of course, he's talking about the reduction in force.
Yeah, joining us now is Maryland Congresswoman Sarah Elfreth, who represents the 3rd District, which of course is home to thousands of federal workers. Congresswoman, we thank you for being here, and let's just get right into this because you've spoken often about Maryland's dependence on the federal workforce, and I wonder what are you hearing from constituents who've received these RIF notices?
Well, thank you for bringing me on for this conversation. And I want to make clear that this is a moment in a 10-month assault that we've experienced, particularly here in the DMV, on our federal workforce. I have the privilege of representing 44,000 federal employees and 2 to 3 times that in federal contractors. And, you know, in Maryland alone, we've seen 15,000 federal civil servants lose their jobs since President Trump took office, and these latest rifts are just offensive. They are a really bad negotiating tool, but they're also, we believe, to be illegal and violate what's called the Anti-Deficiency Act.
Well, what kind of impact are you expecting this to have here, not just on federal workers, but let's talk about the country because of services provided by the federal government?
That's an excellent question. And we've been hearing from federal employees a lot since we're now on day 10 of the shutdown. We've had our office is open and working. We're responding to every email, answering every phone call. And that's a really great point, Lorenzo. It's not just our neighbors here in the DMV who are losing their jobs. These are services that Americans are going to lose across the country. These are folks who answer the phone and file paperwork at Social Security. These are folks who inspect our food at the FDA. These are, you know, air traffic controllers who keep our skies safe. This has an overwhelming impact across this country, and this president doesn't seem to understand or respect our federal employees, and that's why I find myself every single day thanking our federal employees and letting them know that at least House Democrats recognize that they have great benefit, again, not just for our communities, but for Americans across this country.
Well, you were sworn in earlier this year, and I guess what a year it's been. You've co-sponsored or supported bills aimed at protecting essential workers during shutdowns. You just told us the number of federal workers you represent. What can Congress do right now to stop these layoffs or protect those who have already been impacted, particularly since you believe that many of these are illegal?
Well, first and foremost, while we are in the minority in Congress, we are using every tool we have. And one of the greatest tools is using the court system and making sure that federal employees, if these, we believe this act is illegal, we have taken the Trump administration to court and we win more than we lose. We've seen, especially, I'm old enough to remember the days of DOJ, where they shot first and aimed second and fired really critical federal employees who were responsible for essential services, public safety, and then realized the mistake and came back and tried to scramble to rehire folks. That's what's going to happen if these rifts go forward without any oversight. So first of all, we're going to be utilizing the court system. We're going to be loud. As you said, I've filed a few pieces of legislation aimed to protect our federal employees. We're going to be there for our constituents on their hardest days. Again, my office is open. Please reach out if we can be of help to you. But ultimately, we are going to need a Congress and a president that respects civil servants.
Do you know at this point the exact number of federal workers who have been fired going into this weekend? We've seen differing numbers. Do you know?
I don't know, and I think that's part of the scare tactics of this administration. And again, I said this today when I was trying to get the attention of the Speaker of the House in our pro forma session on the Hill. You know, we have to make sure that we are doing any government action. If we are going to need a reduction in force, can we do so thoughtfully? And can you engage Congress to do this together? You asked how we can prevent this. I spend a lot of my days across the aisle talking to my Republican colleagues who also represent a lot of federal employees, trying to find and seek their better angels and have a conversation about this is just unsustainable for our country. And the fact that we don't even know a number, I think, is part of the scare tactics of Russell Vogt, who is the head of OMB, who was also, let's not forget, the author of Project 2025. They've been planning this for a while, but they're also going to play fast and loose with the numbers in order to kind of keep this fear and anxiety up.
Yeah, we know so many people are just checking their inboxes all night, hitting refresh just to see if they're going to be impacted by this or if they've been laid off. Congresswoman, we know some people and lawmakers say the White House and Congress are equally responsible for this stalemate right now. And so where do you think the breakdown is happening, and what is it going to take to bring both sides to the table to make some real progress?
Yeah. It's a great question, and I've spent a lot of my day. I'm back in the district right now. Obviously I live in Maryland, so I'm a little closer, but I'm in Washington every day. First and foremost, the speaker has to call Congress back. The speaker called us out for the last 2 weeks. He just canceled votes this upcoming Tuesday. If we're not physically in Washington trying to negotiate a bipartisan budget deal on behalf of the American people, I don't know how this ends. Everybody needs to, frankly, grow up a little bit. Everybody needs to come to the table. Everybody needs to put the needs of our constituents ahead of politics. And that has to start with the speaker calling everybody back. House Democrats have been in Washington. Unfortunately, House Republicans have been home.
So for families who've just lost their income, many of them here in Maryland, many of them are represented by you, what kind of immediate help or resources are available? They have bills now. They can't wait until both sides decide to come together and find a solution.
Absolutely. More than half of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, so I understand this is a crisis. I've not taken my paycheck during this time. Folks can go on our website, elfreth.house.gov, and we have FAQs on all the support systems that are out there. If you're a Marylander, there's a loan program that I worked on when I was back at the State House before I got to Congress. There's also support around eviction and around your BG&E bills. So please go to my website or the website of your member of Congress to find all those support systems. I recognize it's not going to meet the moment enough. That's why I'm trying to force these bipartisan negotiations. But in the meantime, please reach out if we can be of help.
All right, let's look ahead now. So what's your message tonight to these federal employees who are just watching this and they sort of feel forgotten in this political fight right now, and they're wondering when it's all going to end?
Yeah, I'll end just where I began, which is thank you. I find myself, Lori said I've only been in Congress 10 months. I find myself every single day apologizing on behalf of the federal government, but also thanking federal employees for their work. This president doesn't seem to appreciate your value. I'm the daughter of 2 civil servants. I understand that you do this out of a sense of service, not just for your community, but for this country. And I'm greatly appreciative of your work. And please know that I have your back, and reach out if we can be of help.
You know, I have to ask you, Congresswoman, the longer this goes on, right, the optics of this, are you worried that people are going to start blaming your party for the fact that there hasn't been any movement here?
That's always the risk. This is my first shutdown, but I that's always what happens. It's a constant battle of who can blame the other side. My job is to respond when bad things happen. It's also to prevent bad things from happening. And we haven't talked about a major looming issue right now, which is healthcare affordability, and the fact that we are, trying to force these bipartisan negotiations because people are about to see in Maryland an average of $1,000 increase in your healthcare premiums on January 1st if Congress doesn't step up and extend what's called the ACA premium tax credits. That's what we are fighting over right now. So I'm trying to prevent a massive increase in your health insurance on January 1st. I hope folks understand that. But I'm always here to listen, to hear you out, and again, to be there for you on your hardest days. So please reach out if I can be of help.
On that same note, really quickly, just out of curiosity, do you have a lot of supporters calling your office, urging Democrats to sort of give in when it comes to this healthcare fight? Maybe do it after the government reopens, or are they telling you and your fellow Democrats to just stay in the fight?
That's a great question. I get a daily report of every phone call and email that comes to our office, and I read it. I read your feedback every single evening. For the most part, I have a lot of constituents who are asking me to stay in this fight, but I am hearing from constituents who are scared about losing their next paycheck, and I appreciate that fully. And that's why, again, I'm trying to, appeal to the better angels of my Republican colleagues to please come back to Washington. Let's please, in earnest, try to get to a place of compromise. That's what people sent us here to do, and that's what I'm committed to doing as well.
Well, we can only hope that both sides, both parties will come together to do the important work that Americans have elected all of you to do, and we hope this happens soon. Maryland Congresswoman Sarah Elfreth, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.